Can you see my screen now? Yeah. Hello.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Gone. So the tuples, how we can identify the tuples. So for list it is like this, whereas for the tuples it is like this. So that is the only difference. One of the key identification differences between a list and the tuple. So this is for the list, and this is for a tuple. And what is the difference? What is the main difference between list and the tuple? And rest everything is same. In a list, you can add, you can add or delete a list, whereas in the tuple, once you create a tuple, actually you can't delete anything from the tuple, and also you can't add anything. So for example, if like names is equal to okay, letters is equal to a, b, c, d. Okay, letters dot append, for example let's say e, print letters. This is the list, right? And whereas the same, I'm going to, instead of list, I'm going to pass a tuple here. And if I do this one, it will throw an error. So tuple object has no attribute append. So basically the main advantage, or you can say disadvantage, like how the tuple is differentiated from the list, is that in a tuple, you can't add any value to the existing tuple, or you can't delete the tuple. Once you create the tuple, it has to be like that. So the reason why it is created, for example, let's say there is a class of student, class of 60 members, okay, um, and for example, let's say this is an engineering class, and these 60 members, they study in a college for 4 years. And so once they create a tuple, for example students tuple, for example let's say student name is a, b, c, d, e. If they create a record like this, and whenever we use the student tuple, you can't once all the 60 members are defined here, so going forward, for example after 1 year, if someone tries to like add one more student here, which is not allowed, or which is not right, so they can't add the person or the name or any letter to this one, and also they can't delete this one as well. So this is how, if there is a kind of a restriction that you would like to put it in some kind of a data, and this is how you can do that by using the tuple. So and then tuple is only used mainly for whenever there is like constants or fixed data. And so why, if you ask me like, then what is the use of a tuple, and you can just go ahead with the list, right? Basically this list, it is like slightly slower, and whereas a tuple, it is slightly fast. So if you know that, if you get to know that you have a data where the data is constant, you can use the tuples. And if you know that the data can be like, it can vary, you have to add sometimes, you have to delete sometimes, you have to use the list. That's the main difference between the list and the tuple, and rest everything is like same. So if in case if they ask you a question like, hey, could you please explain me what is the difference between list and tuple, you can tell that lists are something that where you can append or delete the data, whereas tuples are something like you can't delete, because it's mainly designed for the constant data. And what is the use of using lists and tuple then? So lists are like like very slow, not very slow, like kind of a slow, whereas tuples are like fast. And if you ask me like why, how you can prove that, we are going to see that in a matter of seconds. You have any questions on this one?
Go on.
Okay, cool. So now let's see swapping the variables. So for example, let's say x is equal to 10, y is equal to 15. I would like to swap these variables. For example, like x is equal to 15, I want to swap y is equal to 10. So how I can achieve this one? So for example, I have to take like a variable like z. Z is equal to x, x is equal to y, and y is equal to z. And now print um, original values x, y, print after swapping x comma 1. So you can see this is how simply we can swap, but this is like it takes some time to swap the values. Like you have to, like, for two variables you have to write like 3 lines of code, and this is something that if you use Java or something, the syntaxes will be like longer and longer, and this is something that um, which is like kind of weird. So instead of that, what you can do, you can just x comma y is equal to y comma x. You can also use this one. So this helps to swap the variables. Let's see. So I'm pasting the same here, same here, the original values, and then after swapping this one here, now you see. So we can quickly swap just by using a small syntax, x comma y is equal to y comma x, if you would like to swap two variables. So this is one of the questions that I asked in one of the interviews, so I would like to highlight over here for you. And now if you remember, I told you that lists are like little slow, and so that brings the concept of arrays. Both arrays and lists are defined can be identified by using this brackets, right? And then how you can identify what is a list and what is not a list, let's see this one. To use the arrays, you have to import a library from arrays, array, import array. From array library, I'm importing the module array. And how to create, for example, let's say there is a list 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and if you type this my list, you can see it's a list or a array. It's a list. Now let's assume that you have like some 1 million records of data, and to process, for example, you would like to multiply each and every element by 5, and to process like 1 million of element records like row data, it will take some x amount of time using the list. So but the same one using the arrays, it can be achieved, it can be executed very faster. So that's the reason we have to use the array. So these are the integers, and then let's pass the over here. So basically we are passing a list to an array, and let's say this is nums, and this is how you create the arrays using the list. And how you can just do the type of this one. You can see what is an array, what is a list. So this one I wanted you to remember this concept. If someone asks like how you can differentiate arrays and lists, you can tell that like arrays are a little faster compared to list. And now
Oh, is it the same? I've not seen array on Python. Is it the same operations that you do on a list you can do on array?
sorry, come again.
Uh, I mean, for arrays, are they the same operation that you do on list that you can do on array? The same operations, like the same list operations, can you do the same on array?
Okay, so whatever we did for the list and all.
Yes, can we do it for array as well? Because I've not seen array before.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, fine. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm asking, is it the same operations?
yeah,
Like,
it's the same operational.
oh, okay,
So I
okay.
mean, it's the same operational, but arrays are not like. I mean, many of the people, they don't use arrays. So they are like, hey, I will. For example, let's say this is the data. For example, let's say you have the source data here in the list in this one. They are like, okay, let me iterate using the
I
list.
can't see your screen again.
Oh, sorry. Um, okay, now you can see my screen, right?
Mm.
Okay, so what happened in one of my projects, I had 1 million, more than 1 million records in a table, and then I
Mm.
had to perform one list operation. So when I performed, it was taking more than like some 35 minutes for me to execute a program. 35 minutes. And I thought like,
Mm.
is there a way that because I never heard about this arrays concept earlier, I always used to use the list all the time. And then I took these artificial AI tools, Gemini and the ChatGPT, to understand. And then this concept evolved, which is the arrays. I was like, I was under impression that lists are actually the arrays. And then later I
Mm.
found that arrays are different and the lists are different. The way arrays, it is like very fast, but it needs lots of computational power. If you don't have a better computational power, it's better you stick with the list. But if you have a RAM of like some 60 GB or 70 GB, and if you have like large data, you can
Yeah.
use the arrays. That's the only difference.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But and rest
Okay.
everything is like same, but you can see slightly increase in performance when you use the arrays.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So how many execution time did it save you when you came to array? You know, before list was giving, you said it was taking about 5 minutes, right?
No, it took me 35 minutes by using the list. 35 minutes. Are you asking about the list? How much time it took for the
No,
list?
no, no.
Huh?
You know, when you use the list, right, it
Uh huh.
took you 35 minutes, right? So when you change to array, how many minutes did it take?
I mean, it again depends on the data, but all I can say that maybe you can execute in 3 minutes.
Ah,
Yeah. So arrays are little faster because I'm very confident on this one because I used it on my real time project, and
yeah,
I was really surprised with the results. So I strongly
yeah.
suggest anyone like to use the arrays wherever they can. But again, the drawback of this one is the computational power, how much RAM you do have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions you have on this one?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at sets. So how you can identify the sets by using this curly brackets, and why you have to use the set. For example, let's say you have a list 1 comma 2 comma 4 comma 4 comma, so okay, let's say 22 comma 1 comma 4 comma 5. And now if you see over here, there are like some duplicates, 4 comma 4. If you would like to remove these duplicates, how you can remove? By converting this list as a set. So my set is equal to set of my list. So let's print my set. So if you see over here, so there is a duplicate value which is a 4, and here by using the set, it only keeps the unique values and deletes all the duplicate values. And then the 4, it has been deleted over here. But one of the disadvantages of using sets is that it revises the index order. So right now, I mean, when I said like I want to remove the duplicates, I was expecting my output should be like this: 22, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. But when I used the set, it sorted the data automatically. So this is one of the disadvantages of set, but it really helps to remove all the duplicates very quickly, and you can see like how many unique values are there. And so I mean, in the set, it's like for example, if you say like my set is equal to 1 comma 2, if you would like to add and append a value, you can add this one. For example, let's say append 3, print my set. You can add okay, not append, so add. You can add the values to the set, unlike tuples. You can add and you can delete and you can remove and everything you can do. And now let's see, if you have like two sets, how it will work. For example, let's say I have first set, which is 1 comma 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Second set I have 1 comma 5. Now let's see how the end operation works. First and second. If I pass this one, if we have two sets, and if I pass this one, and this end operation, it will help us to identify the elements, the values which are like common in the first and the second set. Okay, and if in case if I pass the OR operation, sorry, second. So it passed it passed all the elements which are in the both the sets. And if I have minus operator, so basically it will pass the elements which are there in the first set minus this one, for example 1 1 0, and all the elements which are in the first set, which is like 2 3 4, and then the last one, first second. So it will give like all the list of elements which are not common in the first and second set. So these five. So these are one of the, like, operators that you can remember: the end operator, or operator, minus operator. About the sets, the sets are mainly used to remove the duplicates. So that is one of the advantage of the set. So if I have a list, and if I have to delete, for example, let's say if I have a list of all these names, for example, let's say Raju 2 times here and here. If I want to delete this one, for example, let's assume this is a list. I'll convert this list into I'll pass my list like this, so that I will have output like this only. So I can eliminate this one. This is like very effective in terms of removing the duplicates. And the last one, which is the dictionaries in the data structures. Let's see. So dictionaries has both keys and values. Oops.